Let's look at the changing dynamics in terms of economics. Financial markets, Biden plan, GCC IPO, COVID GCC update, global GCC bonds, Qatar GCC trade, Qatar property market, and Qatar Turkey bilateral, Qatar interbanks. So these are the bullets we need to know. When you look at the global and regional capital market, very important. Dow Jones has grown by 8%, S&P has grown by 7%, Nasdaq has grown nearly 5%, Japanese Nikkei is around 8%. So look at the market momentum. London FTSE is now 4%, Hang Seng is around 6%, India Nifty is moving over 6%, Russia, the same story, you have 4%, Brazil is around, it's a contraction in strict sense, but hope it recovers. Germany 10%, France almost 10%, China is flat. Qatar 0.7%, Dubai 2.6%, Abu Dhabi 17.8%, Saudi Arabia 14%, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi is around 17%, Oman I should say flat, Bahrain is a contraction by 2%, Kuwait is around 3%. So you, by and large, if you look at the big picture, there is a momentum in terms of equity, global level, regional level, and we are seeing emerging markets also showing very similar reflection of cautious optimism. US employers added most jobs in the 7 months with improvement across most industries in March as more vaccinations and fewer business restrictions has supercharged the labor market recovery. Non-farm payrolls increased by 916,000 last month, and February employment was revised up to a 468,000 gain, according to a Labor Department report Friday. So non-farm payrolls increased 916,000 last month. Again, it is going in the right direction. The median estimate in Bloomberg survey economist is 660,000 rate. Unemployment rate fell to 6%. It was double digit. Global coronavirus costs surpassed 130 million, with India reporting most new cases since the peak of its outbreak in September last year. China is battling a flare-up in its Yunnan province, I should say, while South Korea saw more than 500 cases a fourth straight day. Now we have seen reflection, coronavirus cases are not over. 130 million people. We have mortality rates is not as much as it was, but very many mutants. These mutants are having impact in terms of the abnormality in the situation. Now, let's look at the positivity in terms of the American administration. The plan is divided, economic plan is divided across 4 main areas. Transportation infrastructure, 621 billion. It would spend 174 billion, or about 28% of the transport portion, on electric vehicles. About 115 billion would pay for fixing roads and bridges chosen by those most need repair. Another 85 billion is set aside for modernizing transit systems, and 80 billion for growing backlog of Amtrak repairs as well as improvements route expansion. Quality of life at home, 650 billion. The plan would spend 213 billion to build, preserve and retrofit more than 2 million affordable homes and commercial buildings. The plan is set aside 100 billion for constructing or modernizing public schools. Again, another 100 billion would be used for building high-speed broadband networks. So broadband network is important, modernizing school is important, and affordable housing is important. So quality of life, 650 billion is allocated. Transportation infrastructure, that's very important, especially for electric vehicles. very smart. Again, the transit systems were very, very important for maintenance. The caregivers for elderly and people with disabilities, very considerate and compassionate. The Biden wants to pump $400 billion to improve access of quality, affordable home or community-based care for elderly people with disabilities. Don't lose sight of compassion. Research, development and manufacturing. About $300 billion in the plan would be invested in manufacturing, including support for domestic production of technologies, critical goods. Around $50 billion would go towards semiconductor manufacturing and research. The plan would spend $180 billion on new research and development with an emphasis on clean energy, fewer emissions and climate change research. $180 billion on new research and development, very important for development. Funding, the funding to raise corporate tax 28% to pay for the plan. A percentage of the White House noted it is still below what the corporation paid before President Donald Trump tax cuts in 2017. Biden also wants to increase the minimum tax on US multinational corporations to 21%. So corporates and corporate tax rate and multinational all will be paying 21%. Tax overall, dubbed as Made in America tax plan, seeks to incentivize job creation and investments in the US and profit shifting to tax havens and ensure large corporations pay their fair share. It's fair. It's not only tax plan or tax haven you create and then escape on tax. You have to pay for your infrastructure. You have to pay for rich becoming poor. Poor becoming rich is one part. Rich becoming richer. That has created more income inequality across the globe, and that needs to be minimized, and that's the philosophy. When it comes to top news in the Gulf, Qatar GDP last year apart, it is improving in the right direction. S&P affirms Oman B+ ratings, outlook stable. When it comes to IPO in the Gulf, Dubai TriStar rises 160 million in IPO in 2021. Oil price $61, 61.45 per barrel, that is 26% up. Brent is 65, US crude is 61, both of them over 25%. Natural gas 3.25% up, 2.69. The alliance decided to gradually curb production cuts beginning in May. Now, starting in May, additional 350,000 barrels per day will be added to production, with another 350,000 coming in the market in June. Come July, output will increase by 450,000 barrels per day. That's again a sensible decision to moderate the oil price at $60, so that consumption is not contained in long term. So the alliance decided gradually to curb the production in the beginning in May. Starting in May, additional to 350,000 barrels per day will be added, with another 350,000 coming another in June. Come July, output will increase to 450,000 barrels per day. So May, June, July, you have increments. OPEC Plus Alliance is currently cutting by just over 7 million barrels per day in an attempt to pop up prices and reduce oversupply. OPEC kingpin Saudi Arabia has voluntarily added an additional 1 million barrels per day to those cuts. When it comes to precious metals, gold 1728, that is a contraction of 9%. Silver $25, $25 per ounce. That's also a contraction compared to the year beginning by 5%, 9% contraction for gold. Gold extended to rebound from the near 9-month low, with a bond yield and dollar falling as investors weighed implications of the President Joe Biden's $2.25 trillion stimulus plan. The $2.25 trillion stimulus plan is good, and that's going to stimulate the world economy as well. It means safe haven commodity like gold will come to terms. CDS rates, Qatar 49 basis points, Saudi 69, Dubai 105, Abu Dhabi 14, let's say 50, Bahrain 204. When it comes to currency market, dollar index is 93, euro 1.18, euro 1.18, pound sterling 1.38, yen 111, I should say, against US dollars. The index moved higher and test all the 93 marks after US economy created 916,000 jobs during March, surpassing consensus for 647 gain. Further, our data showed that jobless rate is to 6%. When it comes to COVID, very important world update. What is happening is number of cases now 130 million. Number of death 2.84 million. We lost nearly 3 million people. We had infected 130 million people. That's huge. Losing 3 million people. Number of people vaccinated is 139 million. Number of doses given 635 million. So percentage of population vaccinated is 1.8%. World population is more than 7.8 billion. Look at that number. Just we have vaccinated only 1.8%, and we have 139 million. World population is 7.8 billion, almost 8 billion. For 8 billion, we have vaccinated only 139 million. It's just nothing but 1.8%. That's not great. When it comes to Qatar, we have number of cases 181,000 cases, more than 66% of the population. Number of death is nearly 298, I should say. Total population is around 2.68 million. Tested and 1.74 million tested for COVID-19. Restriction since previous Friday on business and leisure. Business and leisure is fixed as partial restrictions have been imposed. Qatar aims to vaccinate at least 90% of the eligible population by the end of this year. 90% will be done. Qatar orders private health centers to halt non-urgent services from 2nd April. Non-urgent services, there's a halt. Adopt distant learning and suspend attendance of all students in public and private universities, schools and kindergartens. Number of people vaccinated, number of doses given is around 842. Even if you look at the population, 842 divided by 2, it should be 400,000. Sounds, almost 25%, rather 1.7, that is 14% is vaccinated. Vaccines, Pfizer, now Moderna vaccine alongside the Pfizer is given. UAE, we had very similar reflection. The number of people vaccinated is 466. The number of deaths is around 1,500. So we have all sort of challenges in the marketplace. Saudi Arabia, we have number of cases 391, death is around nearly 6,684. Now when it comes to vaccine, they are using Oxford, AstraZeneca rather I should say. COVID-19 vaccine mandatory for workers serving pilgrims in Mecca and Medina. Kuwait has we have 235,000 number of cases, and number of deaths is around 1,327. Number of people vaccinated is still long way to go. Vaccine, they are using Oxford, AstraZeneca and Pfizer. So we have all sort of opportunities are there for now with the additional vaccine coming in, we can fix it. Bahrain had 527 cases. Number of cases 146. So we have Johnson & Johnson vaccine is the 5th vaccine to be authorized in the Kingdom of Bahrain for emergency use of groups at high rate infection. Oman, nearly 1,700 people died, and we have number of people vaccinated is around 19,000. When it comes to bond issue, Doha Bank, we have issued a bond of 500 million. We have a transaction was executed, US dollar 2 billion, EMT and issuance programs listed in the London Stock Exchange, and A rating by Fitch, PAA1 rating by Moody's. Doha Bank is very pleased with the success of this transaction, which highlights the confidence placed by the investors in Qatar, the bank's board, management team and strategic direction. Doha Bank bond issue, success of this transaction came on the back of marketing. In terms of allocation, 57% were asset managers, 31% were banks, includes private banks, 7% insurance, 5% others. So asset managers, private banks, insurance, others. More importantly, investors base was diversified. Now we have 48% of the bond issuance being allocated to UK, 35% to the Middle East, 13% to Europe, 4% to Asia. That's a good spread. We have United Kingdom, significant, and 12% in Europe. If you look at the big picture, Middle East is 35%, 13% is Europe, 4% to Asia. So good spread and good investors base. Again, asset managers, when it comes to asset managers, it is important banks and insurance companies step in. That is also happened. So we have a good story to tell. Now, when it comes to international bond market, last year was almost 5.67 trillion, and it's a good improvement over the previous year. Now, so far we have done 1.6. It means it's going to go up more than last year. 1.6 billion already done. And US Treasury is quoting 1.72. End of last week is 1.72. When it comes to Sukuk, is also taking a shape. So far, Sukuk, everyone is looking at opportunities. 12 billion has been issued. When it comes to Gulf bond market as a whole, let's look at the big picture. GCC bond market is 90 billion. Conventional bond market last year was 80 billion. GCC bond in 2019 is 18 billion, 2020 is 90 billion. Already we have 30 billion. Now, if you look at the split of this 30 billion, the bank is 500 million, Bank Muscat is 500, Sharjah 1.25. When it comes to Emirates NBD 750, Alali Bank 300 million, RX funding 600 millions. Let's look at the sovereign. Saudi 5 billion, Sharjah 1.25, Bahrain 2 billion, Oman 3.25 billion. So everyone is engaged in bond market. Sukuk is also moving. So far it has come nearly 4 billion, which includes Riyadh Bank, Saudi Real Estate Finance, NCB and FAB Sukuk. When it comes to syndication, it's moving in the direction. So far we have seen around 20 billion. Syndications have cropped up. Last year is around 62 billion. Things are moving in the right direction. Qatar GCC, economic rebound with the World Bank forecasting Qatar economy at 3%. The run-up 2022 election, rather FIFA World Cup, should also anchor demand growth. Ease of 3.5-year-old regional dispute will improve trade, tourism and logistics. 12 billion is the bilateral trade, Qatar GCC, and this will go up further. Qatar is also planning to have incremental value in terms of normalization of the relationship. In fact, there is already restoration of oil export to Abu Dhabi. Qatar Petroleum on March 3rd, 712,000 barrels of condensate destined for Emirates National Oil Company in the UAE. The first commercial energy trade since the blockade in early 2017. It's a good development. 712,000 barrels of condensate. When it comes to property market, Qatar real estate sales remain buoyant in the fourth quarters 2020. Notable developments includes Commercial Boulevard and Qatar Twin Towers in Lusail, and also substantially complete ahead of the FIFA World Cup, which kicks off in less than 2 years. So you have good development projects. Qatar Twin Towers, very beautiful shape, very fine architecture. Commercial Boulevard, World Cup is also coming up. On the property market, the overall office supply in Doha approaching 5 million square meter, which 50% is situated in the prime districts in Lusail, West Bay, Musharraf. Both Lusail and West Bay are modernized outfit is Musharraf. See, the most significant increase in new office supply over the past year has been in Lusail, both in Marina District, Energy City. Office supplies in Lusail now tops 600,000 square meters. So 5 million square meter is available. West Bay and Lusail are happening areas of Qatar office property. Primary office of accommodations is fitted with category A. West Bay is typically available between 100. It is shell and core offices are now available to lease for 70 to 90. So the reduced rent is an issue for office spaces. When it comes to Qatar co-working space of properties, residential accommodation is still holding good. There's a marginal correction in the last 3 years, but it is bouncing back. Now, when it comes to Qatar co-working spaces providers such as Sovcorp, Regus, Workington are reimagining the workspace of the future by providing employees with flexibility in terms of space and geography. These companies are promoting less densified space with professional distancing that are strategically located to help employees get back to work safely and quickly. So these are meant for office provision. What will be their future? Sovcorp, Regus and Workington. They are flexible in terms of space and geography. So office spaces are now less densified. Residential property, if you look at it, apartments, Lusail, recent apartment real estate ownership was allowed non-Qataris to purchase. This most notable in Lusail, whose apartment is coming up very well. Again, the laws provide the owners with permanent residency as well as residency with permanent with sponsor for those spending more than 730,000. You have residence for freehold and also leaseholds. Both are available. So it's all increasing supply and interruption in demand has been rent stagnation previous year. Now 2021 should give a lot of opportunity. Hospitality sectors, hotel occupancy reached 70%. Now underscoring the improvement in performance in the tourism sector. However, the introduction of lockdown resulted in immediate drop to in 55%. Now it's bouncing back again. Approval of COVID-19 vaccine for the use of Q4 welcome news. The lifting of the blockade Qatar by Saudi-led coalition in January is expected to provide timely boost to Qatar's hospitality sectors. And when it comes to retail property market, retailers benefited from full reopening of the retail malls in Q4 following 6 months of restrictions. Outside the main organized retail outdoor destinations including Souk Waqf, Qatar Cultural Village, Madina Central, again, you have leasable space in many places, but the commercial retail has not gone down significantly. The proposed opening of the new developments, including Doha Mall, is going to be, will be more supply. Let's see how the price gets into different connotations. Turkish currency on 22nd March was a plunge of 15%. It's recovering now. As of today, it is 8.16 as against US dollar. And when it comes to bilateral trade, is over 2 billion. And value of Turkish contractors in Qatar market is over 12 billion. Qatar investment Turkey is over 22 billion. So it remains to be seen what sort of challenges in terms of balance of payment position or the overall the government ability to pay the import bills crops up. So the Qatar gas agreement Botas, Turkey to deliver 1.5 million metric ton for 3 years. It's happening. Qatar tourists visiting Turkey has been rising over the years. 110,000 was 2019. It was limited last year. Let's see how it goes from now on. So, new deals with Turkey. 10% sale of shares of Turkey Stock Exchange Bourse Istanbul topped the agreements made during last year, November. Another agreement was inked to transfer shares of Istanbul Park, a luxury shopping mall, transfer and purchase of shares in the Middle East, and Antalya port operators from Turkish global ports to Qatar's terminals were also agreed upon. MOU was also signed for joint promotion activities between Turkish Commerce Ministry and Qatar Free Zone Administration. And establishing the Joint Trade Commission, that's a good development. So this is all happening, and business norms are moving in the right direction. When it comes to Qatar banking sector, most important, up to February, lending growth, Qatar government, real estate growth, consumption sectors, contracting sectors, service sectors, trading growth, and customer deposits. All these are up to February. We have interbank shown single digit positive development, lending in terms of assets. Total assets is almost 2%. Lending growth is around 3%. Government has taken 6%. Real estate is 3%. Consumption sector stands still, a very marginal 0.3% growth. Contracting sector is regressing a bit. When it comes to service sector, it is improving very marginally. Trading is growing compared to last year. Deposit is flat. So that's the situation, and we expect definitely the challenges in the coming days in terms of the vaccination and ensuring maintaining normalcy. From new normal to normalcy is what we need to come to terms in the coming days, and the incentives given by the government, which expires in June 15th, it remains to be seen what sort of reorganization taking place in terms of healthcare and business and other sectors in the coming days. Then the government will be taking a practical decision to see how to support business continuity in total terms. Kuwait has already extended for another 3 months. So it's interesting to see how the regional governments come to terms in terms of overall sustainable value creation on account of the COVID and post-COVID.